My guy Ken Clark doing this last minute. He has a show coming up in 30 minutes at 8:30 on his channel. Make sure to check it out. Ken, how you doing, man?
What's up, Blue? Appreciate you for having me on, brother. How you doing?
Absolutely. I needed another voice here, man, because I don't know about you. As you're connected to Jackson State, you know I'm that connected to Auburn. So as soon as that news broke, I'm talking about my phone hasn't stopped ringing for about 2 days since that Fine Bomb segment. But I talked a little bit about it last night on the All in Three channel, Auburn Live, and my message to everyone with this storyline. I've seen other people's videos and everything. It's pump the brakes. That is the whole narrative here. And the reason I brought Ken on is I wanted someone who has been around Jackson State, seen behind the scenes, because that's going to be important on why I say pump the brakes. Because one, Auburn does not have an athletic director in place. They just, Alan Green just stepped away. No athletic director in place right now for Auburn. That search is going down right now. There's been some finalists announced, and they're hoping to announce one soon. Two, Brian Harsin still has a job right now. Now, the clock is ticking. If he loses to Missouri this weekend, I heard things are going to be expedited very, very quickly in terms of moving him out. And two or three, I'm going to explain why I don't think Coach Prime is even going to be a realistic candidate for Auburn due to the politics behind the scenes. And that's where my guy Ken comes in. So, Ken, what was your first reaction? Man, we know that he's been linked to Nebraska now. There was Arizona State. Now Auburn is a big one. You know, what has been your general reaction as all this news has been breaking?
Well, I mean, first of all, appreciate you for having me on. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in, and be sure to go to Ken Clark _1400 or Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Hit the subscribe button. In relation to Coach Prime, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, Coach Prime is going to be linked to every single job open in America until he leaves Jackson State. So I think, you know, for us, you know, at Jackson State, we got to basically use this chatter. Every time there's going to be a Power 5 job of any ilk that is of any magnitude, they're going to start with Coach Prime. What he's doing in Jackson State is nothing short of amazing. I mean, we won a SWAC championship in his first full season. Fell short of the Celebration Bowl to South Carolina State, but 2 back-to-back top FCS recruiting classes, off to a 3-0 start. Picked up the first, the #1 player, flipped him from Florida State. Brought in another top 300 player, Kevin Coleman. And, you know, I think the recruiting speaks for itself. The success speaks for itself. The visibility at Jackson State is amazing. It's better than it's ever been from a social media standpoint. The momentum, that the recharge or resurgence, renaissance, whatever word you want to use, in relation to HBCUs is attributed to Coach Prime coming to Jackson State. So I think initially I would get annoyed, but I think what I would just tell the Jackson State faithful to just kind of be more expected to that. This is what happens when your FCS or HBCU program or smaller power group of 5 program. The big boys are always going to come calling when opportunities are there. So I've heard those same names, Blue. I've heard Auburn being a Under Armour, school. We know Coach Prime is an Under Armour. I would say in Dorsey, heard Nebraska narrowed their search down to 3. Without Coach Prime name being in there. I think Bill O'Brien is in there somewhere. I've heard Arizona State. I saw a young man over at 247 kind of breaking that down. Arizona State being somewhat of a since they walked away, Coach Herm Edwards. I've heard SMU. I've heard Georgia Tech. I mean, I've heard just about every job that's available right now. So from a standpoint, today marks 2 years, man, that Coach Prime has been the head football coach at Jackson State. So happy 2-year anniversary to Coach Prime. The rumor mill is full in effect, and it is what it is, man. So, but here's what I say, Blue. He came to Jackson State to all of our surprise. I mean, we there's an audio clip when our Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club crew was talking, after a show, and they told me who it was, and I paused, waiting for somebody to say I'm just playing, and they was like, no, it's Deion Sanders. I'm like, wait a minute, are you serious? I think my voice got high pitched, and it's been a fun ride for these 2 seasons. He's on a 4-year deal with Jackson State through 2024. Coach Prime has shown himself to be a man of high character and a man of his word. I feel like everything about him that I've learned over these past 2 years. I met him on the day of the press conference. Our 1400 Club affinity group had a chance to go in the room and meet with him. It just, to me, it feels like Coach Prime is going to be committed to what he signed up for. Will he leave early? I don't know if that's the case. You know, I think all the signs to me says that everything that he's said, Blue, everything that he's put out there publicly, what his mission is. God called me to Jackson State to level the playing field, and he's on a mission to take sort of the have-nots and kind of elevate them into this space of the haves. So I think he is on track. He's on par in year 2 to accomplish that mission, but there's going to be a lot of knocks at the door, man. I think he has all the support. Here's one thing I'd say: Coach Prime he's on full display at Jackson State. His personality, everything he wants to do, how he wants to run the program. I mean, he has a green light to basically just about everything he want to do. You know, and you guys have seen that. We've seen it, and like I said, it's been on full display. One of the things that I think all of us has been very in unison with in stating in regards to Coach Prime going to another program. Will he have the same autonomy to do some of the things that he have the freedom and luxury to do at a Jackson State? You know, we know how in some of these bigger programs, these big money boosters are the ones that run these programs. They tell you when to go, when not to go, how to do it, how fast, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you catch the right program with it's a possibility. But there's just so many other elements. I just think he has revitalized Jackson in a way that I've never seen in quite some time. Jackson being my hometown, I love what I'm seeing. I love the momentum. I love the energy that's behind it. But he's also been very vocal about what he needs, and that's, he wants to get his staff paid. He said, a Power 5 job isn't going to do much for him. It's only going to pad his landing. He's pretty much set for life. Doesn't mean that he wouldn't take more money, but I think the thing that we have to figure out is if we could possibly get an extension in there with Coach Prime, if we could close some of the gaps on some of the money that could pay his staff. And I'm pretty sure we have a phenomenal president and AD that knows what is on the table. They have a very transparent, a great working relationship. I think they have a good enough relationship for him to go to him and talk just like we're talking. What do you need? What do we, what's on the table? What do we need to do to keep you? How do we keep you staying packed? And last thing I'll say, then the other element is, his sons. He's coaching his sons, and he just added, his so he has Shador, been our star quarterback, his sophomore year, Shiloh, star safety, and, redshirt sophomore year. And then you have Deion Sanders Jr., who's basically handling media right now. And you have Shalimar, who just joined on as a freshman with the basketball program. So you have 4 kids at Jackson State. Jackson State HBCUs are family-oriented. It's a family-type environment. We've welcomed the Sanders family, the entire Sanders family in Jackson as a whole. And we love this for him to stay forever, as long as he could. But we all are realistic, and we're not naive to think that, every coach has I guess you can say a final day in which they are at that program. No one stays forever, but might be a little premature on the talks, but we'll see. We'll see. I am of the mindset that if everything that Coach Prime has said has been very believable, if he bails, prematurely, then those that have been waiting and have been saying that's what he's going to do all along can't wait. They're going to have all the stories are going to be hot and heavy. And they got a lot of sound bites to throw at him and to try to disprove him to be a man of high character and a man of honesty. So, but that's where we at with it. But that's what I wanted to open up with, and I'll let you jump in from there.
Yeah, and I talked last night because I want people to understand. One, I'm plugged into the Auburn coaching search, and there's been 2 candidates that they've already reached out to before Harse is fired. Neither one of them are Coach Prime. This really started as the way my guy told me is it started as a grassroots movement by some of the powerful voices behind the scene and a lot of the fan base. So One of the guys is former Auburn quarterback Ben Lear, who played back in the '90s. He went on a show and went on a 20-minute rant on Auburn Live and said that if he got his pick, Coach Prime would be the guy. And the fans have run with it. The media has run with it. So I just want people to understand there is no mutual interest right now, and they're not going to make a move until the AD is hired. And knowing Auburn like I know it, it would be really and truly Auburn might be one of the places I don't think Coach Prime would fit in at all, especially due to the boosters behind the scenes. We've seen it
Mhm.
over and over and over again. The boosters think they know more than the coach, and that goes back to Gene Chizik, that goes back to Gus Malzahn, that goes back to Tommy Tuberville, who, however far back you want to go. If you got the money at Auburn, you get a voice in the room. And the way it was put to me is they said that Prom is going to be on the short list and they might reach out. But for me being an Auburn guy who knows the behind the scenes, I think he would take you always got to take the interview. And I think me and you, Ken, have talked about that. For your career, you have to take the interview. It would
Oh,
be
absolutely.
but as he peeks behind the curtain, it's not going to be the job that he envisions himself going to do. And that's why I wanted you on here, Ken. You talk a little bit about the ability that he has behind the scenes to kind of be himself and also make the moves he wants to make. Can you speak on that a little bit? Because I think that would be the one thing, or the major thing, that prevents him from really considering this Auburn job, even if he got an interview with them.
Yeah, I mean, we're an HBCU, man. So, the thing that is with us, we have limited resources, but we're rich in tradition, and I know when he say tradition, he frowns at that word, but we are rich in tradition, rich in culture. The HBCU culture is a special thing. We don't sell against money. Money, we can't compete. You just can't. But we can definitely, I don't think that Coach Prime can duplicate what he's doing at Jackson State at a Power 5 or PWI. I just don't believe that, because it's just too much. The culture gets behind him. The presence that you see with all the celebrity presence, those that want to be a part of it, those that want to come there. What makes this thing so special is because it's happening at an HBCU. Let's just call it what it is. HBCUs have always been historically great, but the thing that has made HBCUs the most attractive has been the draw for the just the culture and the vibe itself. So you take someone like a Deion Sanders that's somewhat extremely, flashy. He was known for having all his jewelry on, when he was getting drafted. And to come now, he's Coach Prime. Now the stuff that you see, even with like this past weekend, you have our first home game. He dedicated the tunnel to a fallen beloved rapper, Young Dolph out of Memphis, and he had the entire Paper Route Empire record label there. He's doing things that is very, very unconventional. I don't know if you can pull something like that off at some of these other schools. I lived in Austin, Texas, and I saw firsthand. I'm very close with a lot of alums at UT and going to a lot of games. Matter of fact, one of the directors of UT Athletics, as far as the online graphics, is an alum at Jackson State. I got all my tickets from him, going to a lot of the games and very tight with some of the boosters and so forth and so on when it comes to the program. And I had a conversation in times past, Blue, about something as simple as augmenting the UT Longhorn uniform. And they told me straight up, it ain't happening. Like, they were like, there is no way there's any changes. And they talked about how they even frowned on the black jerseys that was at practice. Like, it's just that serious. So with that being said, when you talk about a Coach Prime at HBCU, you talk about him at Jackson. Jackson is in the South, man. It's deep South, hospitality state. Jackson is a very, very, very unique city. 80% African American. The capital city of Jackson, deal with a lot of things that you see taking place. I do fear that some of the things that he's having to deal with that's not football related may be some things that might turn him on. I don't know. I hope they wouldn't be. But when you look at the behind the scenes, you look at as long as there is alignment with the president, the AD, and the head football coach, then there really is no issues, because he comes with a really good high caliber character. He tells you straight up what he wants. He wants guys that are smart, tough, fast, disciplined, and he added with character. So he don't want any of his student athletes to be at the campus creating problems. he's not just raising football players, but he's raising men. And that's important in a city like a city of Jackson, Mississippi, which is a very high, a high crime type city. You know what I mean? I think crime is proximity. It's not. I'm not one that I frown at the term. Black on black anything. I just think proximity, it dictates circumstances. So my point is, when he's in a Jackson, you see the impact that he's made. You see the things that he's doing. You see the effects, the changes that he's made. The ability to say, okay, we don't have this. I need to make this happen. You go into the first home game. There's a lot of complaints about running out of water, right? I talked about that on my page the other night, saying how, there was a certain allotment, there was a certain amount of water that they brought to sell. Well, when a Coach Prime goes to his weekly press conference and he says, hey, there should be no reason that should take place. We got all this water over there. We just need to get it from here to there. And then now, boom, in conjunction with that, the university comes out and say, hey, we're going to make some changes. Never seen that take place, Blue. I haven't. So I love the quick reaction and say, you know what, we're going to have free water. And I'm willing to bet you that some of that water that's going to be free outside in the tailgate section is some of that water that Coach Prime was talking about that we have a whole lot of on campus. So it's just the little things like that. His ability to put the touches on the renovations to the facilities with the football players, getting the practice field, the design of the uniform, having multiple uniforms every single year. What else can we talk about? Being able to be opinionated to the level that he is. Think about what he said. You're part of the SWAC coaches conference now. Shout out to you. Congrats on that. I always hear this guy named Zach. I'm like, I don't know who Zach is, man. I know about Blue, right? So, but congratulations to you. But here's my point. You got a man that's in that conference that could be a voice, that could be a beacon of change. And I think when you factor that in, that's some of the things that Coach Prime has been able to do at Jackson State that he may not necessarily have to do at a PWI or a Power 5 program. However, it's just still one of those things that you have to consider.
Yeah, and the other biggest thing that I also wanted to, I said this on my show before. I understand the frustration by some fans because of how you never want to lose a great coach. Let's be regardless of where the coach is, especially at the FCS level, it's hard to find. Let's just keep it 100. It's really hard to find. It's really hard to keep at the Group of 5 and FCS level. So I understand the frustration of the fan base a little bit, but I just want you guys to understand that's a good thing your coach is being put in these conversations, because if he wasn't, that would signal something about your program. So it's a good thing that Coach Prime's mentioned in it. It's a great thing that even though he hasn't won on the field, Ken, Mike Minter was mentioned for the Nebraska job, and he has a less than 400 winning percentage at Campbell. He's getting mentioned just because of his recruiting.
Yeah. They'll do that. I mean, Blue, before Coach Prime, we had 4 coaches, man, in 7 years. So, Coach Comedy ends in 2013, Coach Harold Jackson. Then we go to Coach Tony Hughes, and then Coach John Hendrick. That's 4. And then you got Coach Prime, and that's between 2013 to 2020. So trust me, I don't think any Jack State fan could in good conscience tell me that we got a short leash when it comes to coaches. So I think on this side of it, I would send the message that we got to just be okay. We just got to control what we can control. Let's make sure we do our part on our end and try to give our best foot forward. We're going to shoot the ball. We're going to shoot it from deep now. We're going to definitely shoot it. Now, if we hope to connect. We hope to Steph Curry that thing from half court. But if somehow, some way, something else takes place, I just would like to see Coach Prime. And in all honesty, if I'm being real with you, I would love to see him just fulfill his 4-year agreement to be there. Now, if he's able to go beyond that, great. What I don't want to see, and I don't want to see him in the contract 2 years early, because that's going to feel very it's going to feel bad, you know what I mean? And it's going to say, well, man, it just goes against the message that we bought into. We bought into that message, hook, line, and sinker. We drinking the Kool-Aid, man, and everyone else would too. There's no reason, and I'll say it this way, in clear conscience, I don't see Coach Prime leaving before that. Now, I'll be shocked if he does. If he do, hey, we wish him the best. We're gonna definitely bid him a amazing farewell. But I do feel like if you do leave, Jack State gonna be an extremely hot job, you know. So we'll have quite a few that'll be chomping at the bit to get to 1,400 J.R. Lynch. So let's just hope that it's in 2025 or 2029 or something, you know. So, but yeah, that's what I got on that.
You know, and also I think a bigger thing that a lot of people seem to overlook, because it's always, you know, when's he going to leave, interviews, things like that. I really do think a goal for him outside of getting players drafted is getting some of these younger staff head coaching opportunities elsewhere, whether it's D2, whether it's FCS, Group of Five, wherever. I really do think that some of the people working under him, the analysts, getting an offensive coordinator job somewhere, I really do think that's an underlying goal for him that not a lot of people address, because, you know, let's just be honest, it's not a quote sexy topic to talk about, but I do think that that's his goal for like a TC Taylor, for some of these guys that have worked under him, to gain some experience, and when, you know, wherever they end up in a few years, it's in a better place than where they were when he stepped in.
Absolutely, man. And I think that you're going to start to see if some of these schools were smart, don't go for the big fish. You know, you'd be smart to look at some of these position coaches, look at some of these coordinators. Brett Bartolone is people singing a different tune to Brett Bartolone than they were when they first hired him, right? Everybody's like, what? Who is this guy? He went to, but I think his work speaks for itself. So you got a young, fiery offensive coordinator that comes in, highly, highly recommended. You know, you know, we don't know if Coach Dennis Thurman or Jeff, or Coach Jeff Weeks or Markinson or any of these other coaches that came in originally with Coach Prime are looking to do anything, because most of these gentlemen have a very extensive, long coaching career. Coach Tim Brewster and Kevin Mathis and Andre Hart, these guys have been with Coach Prime for quite some time. So the expectation in my mind is that wherever he goes, they're more than likely to go with him. So I don't know that to be the case, but I just think it's a little too early to talk about Coach Prime leaving. I'm okay with the job interests, and I'm even okay with the interviews. I just think Coach Prime is such a businessman that understands the value of relationships. You don't say no. You go interview, and you go establish a relationship, and if you come back and say, hey, listen, today is not the day, but I want to make sure we keep that line of communication going. So in the event that in the next couple of years when I'm ready to roll, hey, I'll be looking to come your way. So it's that type of thing. Because sometimes when you go and do an interview, you may not get it the first go around, or you may not even want it the first go around. It may just be a power play where you can just go plant your seed for a later time, or make it, or should I say, a placeholder. Because let's just be real, these jobs are all these jobs will probably be open again. Because if you look at the programs that are, let's just walk through it real quick. Nebraska hasn't been of any. When has Nebraska been relevant in the last 2 decades? Tommy Osborne. Tom Osborne. Come on. I mean, you got SMU. Okay, Sonny Dykes over at SMU. He made them very formidable. But, okay, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's been trash for quite some time. You know what I mean? Calvin Johnson come out of Georgia Tech, but I still don't understand why he went to a triple option team. But that's for another day.
Horrible decision.
Arizona State. Was it Harold? Coach? I think was over there. It was okay then at the time, but Pac-12, probably Arizona emerges as a favorite after you see UCLA and USC go to the Big Ten. Who else was out there? Auburn. Auburn is a man. You can't go to Auburn and just stink it up, because you got that guy that's sitting across that Iron Bowl is for real in Alabama, man. You got, and Coach Saban just got re-upped. I understand the Aflac relation and the possibility of, let's get Coach Prime and he can out-recruit him. But boy, oh boy, you lose that Iron Bowl, Coach Prime. Ooh, it might get a little ugly. You don't win, and you don't, that magic that they see on the camera, they watching these videos and you dominating. Because here's a narrative, Blue, that is going to come. If you go to the Power 5 ranks, and I'm not trying to put this out there, I'm just saying, if he goes and he don't win, they're going to say, well, shucks, was he a good coach? Yep. Or was he just out recruiting everybody and beating them because he had better talent on the FCS level? That's what you're going to hear, Yep. I think he's a great coach, honestly. I think he's a great leader of men, and I think he'll win wherever he goes, because he's going to have a great staff and he's going to out recruit everybody. I just believe that. You know what I mean? So I just hope that it's not until the dates that I told you. I don't want it to be no time before 2025.
Hey, that's fair enough, man. I know you got a show to run to, man. I appreciate you
Yes,
giving
sir.
me your time, man. I wanted another perspective on this because I think we're both on the same page on the whole pump the brakes. Let's let the season play out a little bit and let there be an actual job opening before we start putting people into a job that's not even open yet.
Yeah, man. I don't think we're gonna stop any of the the people talking on these sites, and it is what it is. We gotta hear it and don't hear it. We got a lot of football left to play. We still got a season to get through. And to the Jack State faithful, just hear it but don't hear it, understand how it goes, and we'll be okay, man. But like I said, man, appreciate you for bringing me on. I appreciate it, and like I said again, for those that Ken Clark _ the name you see on the page, feel free. Go over to my YouTube channel. Just getting really started in YouTube, little over a month and a half in this space, and hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of dope content. About to go do a live show myself and Zoe. Yep. You see it. I got the merch on. Ken Clark _ Ken Clark 1400, man. Appreciate you, Blue. All the best to you, brother.
Have a great show, man. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.